One of my biggest mistakes growing up was not being open-minded enough, but seeing change happening.
Yeah.
And so like Venmo, and this is gonna sound super weird, but like Venmo to me, I was like, that makes sense, but I don't want to do it. Like, why can't I just carry cash? And so I was like late to that, and like there are definitely things that like I've seen and I've just been like, it's different. I don't want to touch it, and that was definitely a mistake. And so my mentality now is, oh man, Solana, Cardano, Arbitrum, Flow, Matic, like all these things are different. Understand them. You need to put in the time and understand them. Go touch, but like that means going and touching and interacting with them instead of like, I don't know, I don't like it. You got to go touch and like try it out.
Welcome to the Alpha Podcast, made possible by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, hosted by me, Jussup. Before we begin, I want to remind everybody that what you're about to hear is not financial advice, nor do we endorse any of the guests or projects on the show. This is simply meant for educational purposes, and oftentimes I'm learning about these projects in real time as we're recording them. While this is brought to you by West Coast Customs and Neverland Studios, the opinions expressed are of my own or the guests, and not of the companies. So without further ado, let's tap into the episode. We're here. Yeah. Just introduce yourself.
What's up, everybody? Hunter Orrell. I don't know how to introduce myself. Just like I'm a guy who does Web3 stuff, investing, collecting, trading, whatever it might be. It's been really awkward, right? Like I think a lot of people are in this like moment of like, what am I?
Yeah.
And somebody actually, I was with like Dinfo, Tony Herrera, Dees, and somebody's like, oh, so what do you like? What's your dream? And I was like, just building. And they're like, well, that's like what do you like, what's your goal? I'm like, I don't know, like I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now, and I like the space. I can see this being like what I do for the next 60 years, and like my dream is just the process. There is no like hey, I want to have like $100 million or anything. It's like I want to keep doing what I'm doing with the people that I like and vibe with, and that's kind of like that's the dream. And I think that's actually
I get that 100%.
Yeah,
though.
I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh man, my dream is X, but like the process to get there sucks.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you see a lot of people like they'll get into it, and like a couple months down the road, they're like, this isn't for me. Like I think for me, it's like I like point A to question mark. That journey along getting to question mark is just the rewarding part for me.
I started running a lot, and I'm going to do a 100-mile race here soon. I just signed up. But I started running. I set a goal of doing a minimum of 2 miles every single day. And I hated running, but it was just like, I fell in love with doing it.
It's the process of like getting there and feeling
100%.
It's a marginal return. I'm like, hey, every day I'm feeling better and getting stronger, and like it's going to be closer to that goal. And like you're like, you actually fall in love with like, I bet you once you do the 100-mile, you're like, oh man,
I'm going to want to do more.
You want to do more, and like you want to keep running. Like that's when you get into like the crazy ultras out in Switzerland where it's like 100-mile, but like it's through the night in the snow, and like you're going up. And I didn't know that was a thing also.
This one's actually supposed to be 22,000 feet of elevation. So I signed up for a really difficult
like,
one off the get-go.
Like, I have a friend from college, and like he's like, yeah, I'm running like a 48-hour ultra. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, yeah, through the snow night, like I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you're built different. I can tell you that.
Yeah. All right. So let's back on.
Yeah, we can back it up. I feel like this is gonna be way different from everybody else's, but like
it's all good. So, what are you doing in the space right now?
I would say like the biggest stuff that I'm doing right now is seed investing, or like angel investing, finding people with ideas that I believe in, and focusing on like the infrastructure of what the next 60 years look like, quality of life things that allow people to get certain things done. So like marketplaces, aggregators, stuff that allows artists to be rewarded, stuff like that, on top of also being like a very avid collector within the space. So I have a couple of different like theories on like where and how Web3 transforms certain industries, and I've kind of made those bets based on how I think the next 60 years play out.
So are you investing individually, or you have a fund, or how's...
Individually. I've thought about it. It's certainly something I've also had people come to me and ask money to, for me to manage their money. I think at the end of the day, it's like my strategy is so unorthodox. And like, I think people like D's, I think people, there are people who just like, I put my money with what I just like. And there is analysis. I'm probably one of the few people in the space that actually breaks out a spreadsheet and looks at like, hey, how are things going to change for X industry when this happens? But a lot of it's like, I just kind of like, for me, it's fulfilling just to like, hey, this is what my gut's saying. Let's see what happens. And if I'm wrong, then great. Like, I'm fine with that. And I'm just going to keep doing that.
So how did you get into Web3? I guess what's your background?
I love telling this story because I've been in like trading crypto since 2015, late 2014, and then, like on and off. But then I went and did mechanical engineering and became an AI engineer. I was in a Turkish Airlines lounge before a bachelor party, me and my two friends. And we were the only people there. It was peak COVID. We were going skiing here in Colorado. Yeah, like we were just drinking, and somebody goes like, "Oh, like what'd you guys think of Vitalik's sharding article? Like, it was on his blog." And like you would think, drinking, bachelor party, you're not talking Ethereum and like sharding scalability of like layer 2s and like what does this mean for like the future of Ethereum? And somehow that conversation led into, also look at Top Shot. And so that sparked this whole idea of like, what is Top Shot? What is an NFT?
What was the timeline? When was this?
Right at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021.
Okay, so right when about NFTs were kind of exploding.
So I
missed a couple months.
Like if I had my ear to the ground in the right place, like I was in chats talking about CryptoPunks, but I wasn't like, it hadn't like clicked yet. Me buying my first Top Shot pack was really like, I know a lot of people like the switch flip, but for me it was like, I stood up, and after I sold like a Zion Williams card, and I made like $600, and it was like, yeah, the money was a grabber. Money is certainly like, I won't say no, but like money was like, oh, whoa, like there's something just happened here. There was a huge financial return. But then I was like, wait a second.
That was on a Top Shot?
It was on a Top Shot. Cool. And that was like the first pack. Like I remember I was on a ski lift, and I got in line, and it was like a 3-hour wait, and I got home, and then I bought it, and then I listed the one like just at floor. At the time, I was like, I wonder if this will actually sell. Like, are people actually going to buy? It was this idea of like, wait, there's a thing where if you collect, you get this extra card. It's like an achievement, and like you own this. They're different from each other. There's a way to see the market. I know what's happening with the market. It's not like, hey, like everybody's got cards spread across America. We don't know the real supply. eBay's like where things get sold, and like there's fees. Like it just was like, wait, this changes how you collect collectibles.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, wait, like collectibles market, that's the whole thing. And then I bought a Mooncat, and as like I started to like get deeper, and like things were like, wait, like media changes, IP ownership changes, how artists get rewarded changes. And so I've kind of just like dove all the way in head first. Like within buying that Top Shot pack, within 2 weeks, I had no banking account. I had $300 to $500 in my account. I had no retirement account. I liquidated my Roth IRA. I liquidated my stock portfolio. There's some other stuff too. Like I had nothing but, and everything went into ETH. And then within 2 weeks of that, everything was in NFTs except for like, a couple of ETH. It was all in. I mean, it was like really scary for a second because like
I could imagine.
We were like at a burger joint, my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, oh, shoot, like I lost a ton of money like on like bad trades, and like I was like, wow, like I don't know if like what I'm doing is the right thing, but I was like, wait, like you were so confident like how this technology is going to change stuff. It wasn't like the actual, and it was like, how does the technology impact XYZ? And I was just like, I knew this playbook from early internet. I knew the playbook from social media in 08 to 11. And I just saw this being the same impact. And I think also kind of like being a pattern person, like I saw how e-commerce played out. I saw how social played out. I've seen how AI models and like AI has played out in a non-cultural technological way, and how that's like slowly seeping into everything. And that technology has been the base layer and the foundation for a lot of the advancements we've seen. And I was like, wait, this is a base layer technology that impacts everything else down the line.
Totally. This episode is brought to you by Neverland. And no, we're not talking about the California ranch. You're probably wondering, aren't you a founder? Yes, I am, and I'm not here to bullshit you. Along with my two cousins, Mark and Kurt, our partners Rob and Evan, and the world-famous West Coast Customs, yes, the guys behind Pimp My Ride, we're building a car customization, collecting, and racing game on the blockchain called Empire Ave. Empire Ave will sit in the Neverland world, along with the MetaWhips and the Meta Racer minigame, the Crypto Dad Dadlands mower racing game, and the ever-expanding metaverse that's going to continue to grow. You can find out more by visiting www.neverland.io. That's www.neverland.io. let's get back into the episode.
That's why I got like, and that's why I'm like here, like hyped and like crazy. Like the world is going to be so different because of the technology.
Yeah, I think people are going to, I tell this to everybody. I'm like, I don't really care if you learn what NFTs are. You're going to use it regardless in 10 years. Like, it's not going to matter.
Even if we don't call it an NFT, like, we don't call a web page an HTML page.
You don't say I'm getting on the internet when you get on Instagram. You get on Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's sitting on the internet.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to use it. Like, so many things are going to be replaced. Passports, driver's license.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big like common day infrastructure is down the road for sure.
There's a house in.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
St. Pete, yeah, St. Pete, Florida.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going out. I know there's a ton of interest. So it was like $750,000.
And they're doing the deed on.
And the deed is on the chain. It's super interesting. I think that sparks commentary around like, what is this needed?
Yeah.
And that's probably the best starting point for a lot of this, where like, how does this impact? And then we start asking ourselves like, well, why is it the traditional way, the way we do it? Does it make sense? I've been on like this music NFT grind and like understanding like, why does a songwriter not get paid the same as a producer? Weren't they involved? Why does it also take 3 years to possibly get paid on a royalty? I think about traditional art houses. Why, when like you sell something at Sotheby's or Christie's, why does it take 90 to 180 days to get your payout? Why do they take such a big rake? That 20% fee. Like I think there's just ripe industries for disruption where there's middlemen, slow return of funds, and high rakes. We'll definitely see those be the first to be like definitely needs some change here.
It's a big disruptor for sure.
For sure.
What made you start making content? Because I mean, you had like jumped in on YouTube, right?
Yeah. So I'm actually in the middle of like doing what you're doing here, like going super hard, and I think that's gonna be really easy to see in like the next 2-3 weeks. This last week and the week before kind of being like, hey, like I spent the money on building a studio in the apartment. And it was really funny. In the middle of all that.
Are you in LA?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause you were in New York, right?
I'm kind of like everywhere. People ask me, where do you live? I'm like, behind my laptop. And they're like, oh, great. That was the nerdiest answer possible. But like, yeah, I'm spending a ton of time in LA. I think the NFT culture in LA right now is really vibrant. There's a lot of really smart creatives out there. I think creatives are like the lifeblood of NFTs, right? Like they're the people who are saying like, I want to do this. I have a dream to like make this. And I think that's really like at the cutting edge of like what we're watching. I was talking to Nate Alex about this yesterday. They've found a pattern, and that pattern is like, oh, this sells out, I'll make $2 million. There's a small percentage of people who are like, that worked for that, but how can I twist that? How can I like flip this on its head? That's what I'm really like, those creatives, that mentality is what I get really excited about.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation with a few people. It's like, we're getting bored of, if you do something new, this space rewards people who try new things.
100%.
That's what I think is so cool about it. It's like,
and it's also, we're in a period where trying something new isn't like, oh man, it didn't, like, we hate you because it's not like, we're in the wild west of like build the future or like reimagine it how you want to. And let's see if it works.
Did you see, this is complete squirrel moment, but did you see the guy who did the PFPs that were photos of himself? It was his name, like Steve. But it was just like, he did a PFP thing, but they were real headshots of him.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think some people are like, oh, it's not going to last. And like, it's hyped up. And I'm like, it might be, right? Like the price might not be what it's worth to you in a year from now. But like, it starts again, that commentary of like, why did people buy that? Well, it was an interesting like social signaling device of like, I found this guy. He doesn't, like, I think the story was like, he doesn't make a ton of money. This is just like a thing he'd been doing, and he's digitalized it into something you can be a part of and own and be part of this community around this guy and show like, hey, I've impacted this guy's life. I want to, support him. Like stuff like that. When you start to like think about how, instead of just owning that photo, what does it actually in the social commentary of it mean? That is super interesting to me as well.
Well, and you could build off of that. I mean, like we see variations of that, right? With like Kohl's Cash. So Kohl's itself has currency. Well, what would be the difference of them having a collection of NFTs? Or you have airline miles. Like there are several things that you could essentially convert.
I think the one like in that kind of like realm of like, what does it mean to have like a collection, and what is that like as like a utility or something? Like the one that I talked about this morning was charities. what does it mean to donate and get an NFT back and be able to show like, hey, I really support this movement and I'm part of this community. And, you know, as I interact with this, or as they have events, I can like token gate or like whatever, like it changes how you think of a charity and how donating money is handled. Yeah. Like they don't have to give you a hoodie back. They don't have to like give you airdrop an NFT that makes you money. They just have to like allow for you to express what you are a part of better. And so, that's what it does, right?
A little alpha of something I've been thinking about, but I just told you I was going to do a 100-mile race. Yeah. And I thought it'd be cool. They make us wear a GPS as we're going. And I thought it'd be cool to every mile I complete, an NFT gets minted. And then it was like people could buy it and it would go towards charity.
Sure.
But it was just like somehow incorporating doing something physical and athletic, and then it's happening in real time.
100%.
But then there's the charity aspect where you're now able to
and you're able to and the people that buy that, instead of just donating to that charity, are able to say, this guy did this, I support what he's doing, I support this charity, here it is in my wallet. And I really hope that clicks for people, that this isn't just like, how do I flip and make money, but this is the NFTs are the ultimate collectability, fan base, community building mechanic we've ever seen.
Culture.
Ever. Yeah,
it's building culture. And I think it also is replacing what's going to replace social media, like you said, because now you can say, you can find somebody else that has that exact same charity thing in their wallet, and now you're instantly connected.
100%. I've been at events that are non-crypto, non-NFT, and I've pulled out my MetaMask to show somebody that, you know, I have like, So like Bud Light, we were at a Super Bowl party and somebody was drinking, and I was like, oh wait, I have the Bud Light Next NFT. And you know, it was just a funny commentary because they worked there at Budweiser too. It started a conversation. But you know, what's interesting is like they saw me as part of like their family and their community by being able to say like, you know, I fuck with your shit. So that's been interesting to see. And it's funny, like, I think we'll see more of that from more of these, like, communities where, like, we've seen Nelk do it. Yeah, they got to, like, you know, to their defense, like, they're using, in the way their commentary was like, look, we're going to use this for our community. When they pull that off, and I hope they do, we'll definitely see how their community, they're, like, providing value back, and, like, how that's going to uplift their community around that. There's so many others, but like that was definitely a controversial one. But I think we'll see a lot more people say, all right, I'm going to take this leap. And
I think VeeFriends did a really good job.
I mean, it's Gary. It's Gary, it's AJ, it's Avery, Andy. Like, can you ask for a better team? And they've built, you know, Gary himself has built a following, but VaynerMedia itself and what they have there is a machine that can siliconically put out like brands and build on those. Like, you take a broken down brand and throw it through Vayner, they can pump out the best version of that. Yeah. And so that's what he said. He said, well, let's utilize this technology, my brand, and then build it. They're going to pull it off. Like, it was a no-brainer. They're also doing that with like the Flying Fish Club or, you know,
Fly Fish.
Yeah, I always get that wrong. I think they just know how to provide utility, build infrastructure around a community, and they're crushing it.
Just speaking of people trying different things, but like Tom Billius, did you follow the heroic key or the legendary keys?
I did, yes.
And he returned, like anybody that was not happy, he returned and bought it back from him. Like, that was a cool thing.
I think it's a bold, and it kind of like, to me, that signals like, I'm bullish on this, and if you're not, great. Thank you for attempting, and I'm going to keep building.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a builder.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality I think you need to have in this space to actually provide something of value. Like, I'm fine having that chip on my shoulder. It's going to make me work harder. I'm going to keep building, and you know, me selling out and being the number one project was not going to be the influence of me continuing this. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm here to build. Like, that's what I want to hear from people. That's bullish to me.
Yeah, you're betting on the people, not the project. Doesn't matter if it goes up and down because of speculation.
100%.
It'll go up eventually.
Yep.
Not financial advice. What's the last mint that you did?
The last mint that I did. So today was the Chill RX stuff with Sydney Swift. Like I said, very bullish on seeing how smart contracts impact the music industry, community ownership, governance into creation. Before that, I think I minted.
So is that all what you were just talking about? Those things are built into this?
Yeah, that's what they're attempting to do, is build basically like how can we bring the community into control and ownership of music. They're really focused on how, hey, to get into a studio to have this equipment is such a economic hurdle.
Yeah.
How can they remove that by creating like digital DAWs, which is like a digital audio workstation, and provide the infrastructure of like, hey, you want to get in the studio or like you have a great beat. The community recognizes that, votes on it. Great. Now we're going to put Grammy nominated producers to bat for you because the community stands behind you.
Right.
Instead of it being this like dude in a skyscraper in LA and they're sitting at a table and they're like, nah, we don't know this. It's too risky for our label to send, a moonshot on this kid from, Toronto. Now it's a community who's like, wait, our ears are good. This guy's got talent. Let's put him on. Like, and then for those people who voted for like that guy to like go have his chance to be like, I don't have your rookie card. I didn't mint your first song. I was actually the person who voted for you to go mint your first song. It's like the
pre-album.
It's like the pre-rookie card. It's the ultimate like imagine if like Drake or like Travis Scott, you voted for them to like have their song mastered by a project, and you got to be able to say like, yo, I wasn't your number one fan. I was like your number one believer before there was even a fan of you. I just believed in you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're going to see that play out for sure. Not only in the music industry, but photography, art, traditional movie making, whatever it might be, being able to say like, I was your backer back in the day, and I have the receipts.
It's the biggest disruptor.
Yeah.
I think we keep going back to that.
I got a lot of crap this morning. I had a breakfast with a bunch of the Ready Player Now people, and Young and Sick and some other people. And I got a lot of crap for like, what fascinates me? The analytics that you can't measure. And they told me that was like a serial killer mentality, but like, it's really interesting that there's a lot of analytics now that NFTs and Web3 technology are going to like bring to the surface of like knowing, okay, my top fans own what other NFTs? What does that say? What demographic are they?
Right.
What resonates with them? Because all this is on chain. Like you figured this out. How many? What's my distribution of holders and like what's their number and like when like you can see all of this data.
There's somebody I met last night that is actually working on that, something that measures that, and it was cool.
Right now we're all focused on like floor prices and volume, and like the real thing that I think people should like, especially if you're a brand or a personality, is like, how can I get my community into NFTs? And it's not the worst thing you could do is say to monetize against that. Right, how can I get these people into my community to see what they're doing so I can provide more to them, so I can do what they want and be the better version of me or my brand. And like, that gets me so excited, man.
It's literally the question she asked me last night is, why, what do you need these analytics and data points for? Is like, so we could build them what they want. Like, because if we're working on something they don't want, like
it will be used to monetize against for sure. Like there's people, but like
that's how you build too. Right. You have to sometimes.
What drives me is providing value.
Yeah.
And so to loop back 10 minutes into what you asked, like, why did you get into making content, and like, why is that something that you took the leap into? In March last year, I had 100 followers on Twitter. I had like 5 subscribers on YouTube, and I was like, nobody's talking. Like, people are just. I feel like there was a opening in the market for like, why is nobody talking about why this mint spiked, and like, why is this mint like underpriced when I see there's utility to it and this brand's behind it or whatever it might be.
Because you really break things down, right?
And unfortunately, like that's the engineer in me thinking like, how do you get?
I don't know if that's unfortunate.
But in some cases it is, because like I'll get just so like stuck on like the numbers and like, but I do see like a need for that in the market, and my whole basis for that was, what do you want to do? And it was provide value. Yeah. Like, it wasn't to shill stuff. It wasn't to make money. Like, if you put $100 million in my bank account, it would change nothing. It wouldn't. Like, I can confidently say that what I'm focused on is how can I build stuff around me to provide stuff back. Again, like, my process is what I love, and that process involves providing value. So the YouTube stuff has been really interesting, tweeting and like being able to hold spaces and like talk to people and understand, like, for them to get messages out there, to ask the questions of like, why are you doing this? Having Danny Cole from Creature World and kind of like being able to press him, like, why does this have to be an NFT? And obviously that was a question he was asking as well, but like to really be like, but what does this open up? And the idea of like, now artwork's dynamic. Now artwork is influenced by actions. Artwork can be brought into a universe or metaverse or into reality, however it might be thought. All of that is like such powerful things that I think gets people to think and hopefully provides them with like, oh, I learned something from that. I'm doing it. This is going to impact how I'm building. Or, oh, wait, I'm in X industry. We don't talk about NFTs. That's applicable to what I'm doing. I should bring this up and start this narrative.
Totally agree. Like,
I'm sorry. I'm
bro,
I get
it's
really,
all good.
I really like. I'm serious about this. Like, I will do this until the day I die.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
And you're collecting constantly.
Yeah. So I think for collecting, right, like there is a financial incentive sometimes there, but I am buying, like, I just think this is interesting.
Do you do much flipping?
Not a ton. I haven't been buying a ton lately. Yeah. It's been more like, I think we're in an interesting moment right now today, when recording this, we're in a moment where there is so much happening, where OpenSea is currently going through a contract migration, and that's really messing with secondary. We have Ethereum under 3,000 in this 2,000 or 3,000 moment where, the alpha might be to short to 2,000. Like, we're probably going to be in this range. We have the Fed, rates, and like, are we going to see a double with the next meeting in a couple of weeks? All these little things geopolitically. The market has been saturated with PFP projects. We're seeing utility not valued at what I really think it's valued at. We're in a weird moment. I would say we're on the fence of like, this is do your own research, not financial advice, but like, we're in a really, really, really important moment for NFTs in the market right now, because regardless, I think you should keep building and like keep going. But I think a lot of questions are starting to be asked. Like, okay, is this valuable in a year? What am I buying?
I think a lot of things are not providing the utility that they.
Yeah, sure. Like that's a reality. Like people just aren't getting to provide what they promised. But I think also things are like, oh wait, this Doodles derivative didn't pump, huh? Wait, this pumped like 2 months ago. Why not? Like, why is it not now? I think there's a little bit of exhaustion. People are getting tired of the same things. And then at the same time, people are scared to try something new because they haven't seen it before. I think the next Bored Ape Yacht Club level project, the next Top Shot, the next Doodle, like whatever it might be, won't look, it'll look completely different.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's going to look, no, like, I hate whenever somebody pitches me as like, oh, this is the next Bored Ape Yacht Club, I just laughed. I'm like, cool. Like, it might be providing something different or a different flavor. Yeah. Like, and again, I think Clonex, Suzuki, Doodles, like they're profile projects, but they all have their different twists, and I think there's value there. But like the next thing that like makes us all go like, wow, that was a no-brainer, is gonna look nothing like it. It'll probably be layer 2. Like, I'm being honest here. Like, I think layer 2 is going to be the biggest thing that we talk about over the next 12 months, because scalability, removing friction, improving onboarding of the general public, lowering fees, faster transactions, play to earn, all these little things coming in just make me go layer 2, layer 2, layer 2.
This is a perfect segue. Do you collect multi-chain? I
do, yes. So one of my biggest mistakes growing up was not being open-minded enough, but seeing change happening.
Yeah.
And so like Venmo, like, and this is going to sound super weird, but like Venmo to me, I was like, that makes sense, but I don't want to do it. Like, why can't I just carry cash?
Yeah.
And so I was like late to that. And like, there are definitely things that like I've seen and just not, I've just been like, it's different. I don't want to touch it. And that was definitely a mistake. And so my mentality now is, oh man, Solana, Cardano, Arbitrum, Flow, Matic, like all these things are different. Understand them. You need to put in the time and understand them. Go touch, but like that means going and touching and interacting with them instead of like, I don't know, I don't like it. You got to go touch and like try it out.
Yeah.
And I've started to do that. I would say the one that's like clicked the most for me so far has been Arbitrum and Magic, the token that's on there. With like Small Brains and Legions and Seed of Life. Like,
I haven't tried it. Yeah.
Check it out. Like, one thing that makes me bullish is seeing people build and just build and then build and build. And you're like, okay, slow down. I can't keep up with what's happening. And whenever that happens, when you're like, I can't keep up with this, that's a good sign. Like, you should be really excited about that. So I'm seeing that happen there. Disclosure, I am invested in Magic. I do own certain, things within that ecosystem. I think Arbitrum as a chain or as a network has a lot of good benefits because it's an optimistic roll up. I just think we'll see more people go that way. I also think Immutable X or X Immutable, whichever one it is, has been really interesting to watch. Again, like super fast transactions. It's cheap. It removes a lot of the friction. That's been a big word. The F word is friction. Can you remove friction? In the past year, removing friction means when people land on your mint page, can you get the mint button right in front of them, make them feel really safe, and then they mint?
Yeah.
Right? That's been like the remove friction. I think removing friction, really the real fundamental steps forward are, okay, Joe off the street wants to participate. How does he get from his phone in his hand to, okay, I own this play to earn game, or I own this asset? Won't involve MetaMask. It's going to involve just being able to click, go, boom, done.
So one company that I think is doing an insanely good job is VV.
Oh, sure, yeah. Again, another one, but there's so many, and you have to go touch them all. That's one I haven't touched and played with.
You haven't?
I haven't, no.
Oh, man. You gotta go play with VV.
But like each of these that we've named is something that everybody should write down and say, okay, I'm gonna but go, like seriously, like let's backtrack a second.
Start with Ethereum though, because if you go anything that's
let's backtrack even beyond that. Before you even touch Ethereum NFTs, everybody goes, Hunter, what should I buy? You're smart, you have stuff, like what should I buy? And I go, a notebook. And dude, they roll their eyes and like, that's such a dad answer. But like ultimately what you should do if you're getting started with NFTs right now is go buy a Moleskine or go buy a composite notebook and just sit in front of your computer and watch the market and understand and not just OpenSea and LooksRare and what's happening on Rarible and Foundation. Like go look in Discords, go look at people's Twitters, get a pulse, be able to read what's happening.
Yeah.
When you start to get those gut feelings of like, and your gut feelings are not like, oh man, Keyboard Monkey tweeted this, I better go do it. When you're making your own decisions that you'll have conviction behind, because when you go do something that somebody else has said, and it's their idea and you're just following it, the second it starts to go any little direction wrong, you're like, oh man, that guy sucks. Yeah. Like you need to do what you are confident in and feels right, and in your head and from your analysis clicks. And you're like, okay, I understand now.
And I think a lot of that has even focus on the person or the team or that's huge. Because, if you have a favorite artist that is coming out with it, see what it is that's attached with it.
100%.
I have a friend who manages major label artists, and we were talking, they did a NFT drop that an artist had collaborated with them, and it didn't do very well. And it was because they were calling it NFTs. It's like, dude, you should not even call them NFTs at all. Like, literally call it an experience with your artist.
Sure.
So you could, because you just turn off people.
Yeah, there we are in that moment of what is a sentiment against the word NFT?
Yeah.
Or blockchain or Web3 or crypto.
Top Shots. Did you even know there was an NFT?
No, I knew. I had done my research again. I had looked into it and tried to understand what does it mean. I thought it was really weird at first, not dumb or stupid. I was just are we already doing this? Can I just go buy a Fortnite skin? And then when I saw and then we'll even see in the marketplace, I was like, but can I do this? Aren't there marketplaces like World of Warcraft has been interesting to look at from a sense of what does owning an asset digitally mean? For those who don't understand, I've done my research here. I downloaded World of Warcraft to understand this. And played around with auction houses, soulbound things which means it's once you get it, you can't transfer it. It's stuck to you. The interaction there has been super, super okay, how does that works there, but wait, what happens when I can pull that item out or I can really own it, based on anybody can get to it because it's on a globally accessible marketplace. I really think that once you bring the blockchain into it, being able to have that move different directions, have really verifiable ownership of it gets really exciting.
We could transition into talking about games. I think that's the one thing that I've kind of heard over is how is this going to change interoperability with these games? But from a financial standpoint, I'm curious if that's why there's a lot of pushback from major gaming companies because like
They're fans.
well, and if like
Well, so there's two sides to it.
yeah, both. There's some fans are, and then the people making it.
So like I was talking with Bobby Hundreds and Mike Shinoda about this, and you know, I think it was in Mike's Discord. He was like, all right, guys, just explain it to me. Like, I have no bull in this fight. Like, explain to me why gaming companies are like, why are you gamers? You grew up getting just fucked by like the gaming industry year after year of these like Bibles and DLC content. Like, why are you guys not excited for this? I would think it solves it. And they go, and their response was, because we've gotten fucked by these gaming industry. Like they're just gonna figure out a way to like do it even harder. You can agree or disagree there. I think gaming companies are also like, there's a section of their fans who are gonna be like, I won't buy that game because there's NFTs.
Yeah.
And so there's things to lose on both sides. Just because of that, nobody wants to take that risk. We're gonna definitely see it happen though. Like there's gonna be a ton of play to earn games coming out. We have the Artificial Intelligence Football Association. Or maybe, I can't remember if that's the exact name, AIFA, with the AI brains and the players. We have, I'm in Ready Player DAO, which is essentially a DAO that is formed to invest and accumulate play to earn gaming assets and invest in these different companies. I'm very bullish that there will be winners. There will be people that crack the code on what does owning an NFT, owning an AI model, owning these assets that provide value or utility or cash flow. Like I really think that we'll see this play out on the people that are willing to take that risk, and then it'll slowly creep into like AAA studios going, all right, it's working there, they're making money. Yeah, like it's our time to like make that jump.
I've heard that some people are tired of these games because they begin to feel like work. Some of them are leaning too much on an economy where it's...
But I think that just shows like how new it is, like the adolescence of like what blockchain or like play to earn technology is utilized for.
So when we see the merging of fun games that are fun to play.
I think when you see somebody really step back who knows in-game economics, because like really people should understand like to get economics in the game correct, it takes like PhD level or like people have been doing it for their lives to say, okay, this is how we do this so it doesn't collapse. And like Axie Infinities has had obviously like this whole like, all right, is it overvalued, undervalued? Like, the whole idea, like, and you actually need to know in macroeconomics to be able to kind of get that sense and see what's happening. I think that when we see somebody really get it right and provide something that's fun and people can sit there and be like, hey, this isn't a job. If I don't want it to be, like I get, there's something that comes out of it. It doesn't have to be financial. Like that's the thing. When it doesn't become all just for money and it's like, oh, like I'm earning this, which lets me craft this and I can trade and like it's really fun and I'm getting really drawn into it. That's when we'll see this really just become like a hot thing.
That you could make money as the cherry on top.
Sure. I will say like back when like around like the cell phone period, like having certain technologies was weird and it was frowned against. I think the best version that I sometimes hear is like my father was like into rock and roll and he had long hair and like he played the guitar. And for him, when he was growing up, like rock and roll was so frowned against. It was like, oh man, like, the older generation was like, you're stupid, you're gonna like you're gonna ruin your ears, you're gonna grow up and you're not gonna have a job. And like
this is literally the analogy we used in the last
okay, so like there's countless analogies you can make here, but
I said Elvis shaking his hips, but
sure, but like just because Mike in Kansas says this is dumb, he's not the market decider. The market decider is the market. And I think yes, NFTs and crypto is a small, like it's growing. And as that starts to grow, as things start to get proven out, yes, the market we're ultimately, in my mind, the pattern and the way, if we look at everything else, this will emerge and take over everything that we do or find its way into the background of everything we do.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Do you have any car NFTs?
Car NFTs. I have a Porsche 959 or it's a 917K, I believe, photo. I'm a big Porsche guy.
Into cars?
Yes, I'm an avid car person. Before I was born, like my father bought a car to like restore, like he bought it when I was born to like restore up with him. So like like working on cars, buying cars, driving cars, going to car meet, like that's just been like ingrained in me. So huge car guy. So I do have that. I don't know. I think that photo, that foundation photo might be the only car related NFT. I bid on the Lamborghini NFT that happened during the Scottsdale week a couple weeks ago. I ended up selling for like 150,000, so I didn't buy it. I was like one of the first bidders. I think I bid on one of like the Porsche, one of their first NFTs. I went for 30 ETH. I couldn't afford that. I think there's been some other little things that I've like tried, but like just haven't. That's actually a great kind of topic to talk about. Is like I think we'll see, and I'll start at the luxury side. I think Porsche and Lamborghini, just at least through like the grapevine of like what I know, because I'm like connected in those industries, I hear they're having the conversations on when you buy X card, you get an NFT saying I purchased this car.
Yeah.
Again, it's social signaling through digital assets. It's going to get really interesting when you sell a collectible car. Does it come with the NFT?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a considered thing.
When you sell the
or are they
NFT.
matching? Does that serial of that NFT match the car?
Yeah.
If they got split up and you just went and bought one to say I have the pair, do the serials match up? Like that, I think that'll be a serious thing. Like you could look at me and be like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot," but like I think that will go that direction.
Yeah, somebody I talked to, they're building like where it's actually built into it. So on the contract, there's the ability to have like you can check off so you're attaching with physical goods,
Sure,
car or a collectible toy. But like if you buy that NFT, the only way the new holder can say yes or no if they've received the digital good. So like it
so that's interesting.
Yeah, so somehow signals on that NFT that that physical thing is supposed to be there with
right.
it.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Wow. Yeah. So again, there's so many ways that this can impact like
Talking about building though,
like,
right?
Yeah.
People are building.
There's a million different ways you can cut this, and I think car companies will. I think it was Toyota it was the digital dog commercial that we saw. It was like a robot dog. Do you remember that the Super Bowl commercial? They had like 6 of those NFTs, and like buying them the money went to charity. But it was like, all right, car companies are definitely thinking about it, and they're all going to try different things. One or two of them are really going to resonate with consumers and the companies and add value to both, and we'll see that really start. Like everybody will be, oh crap, I have to do it like to be equal for everybody else.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Totally.
Like the theme of this talk has just been like it's gonna happen. Like, and that's not to say like that things will fail. Things will certainly fail and they won't work. But again, we're in this moment in time where this technology is going to have so many different ways or flavor. I always make the analogy of like we're in wine and cheese territory right now, which means you can grab this wine and this cheese, try them together, pair, like figure out what you like, what goes well together. Oh, I love this cheese. Drink, this, Sauvignon Blanc, and oh crap, these do not go together. But I like both. Okay, all right. Oh, let me grab this cheese. Hate it. Hate. Oh, this cheese is good. Sauvignon Blanc again. Oh, these go really great together. And so we're gonna see that play out with photography, music, certain types of ownership, like fractionalization, like all these things.
Yeah.
And I really think right now, if you can touch and feel and to get an understanding of how everything plays together, the same thing with like, hey, I'm going to go try all these layer 2s out. At some point, you're going to be like, oh my God, this artist is going to use this layer 2 to do this. And it's going to be great because I just see they work so well together.
Yeah.
And again, that's how you're going to find those things that are at the cutting edge that you've never seen before that really move the industry forward.
Yeah. So since you're in LA, you haven't ever been to West Coast Customs, right?
I have not. No, it was funny because I think you guys invited me out when you were doing your mint, and I forget what happened on my end. I couldn't make it there. But I want to say I walked past West Coast Customs or one of the stores the other week, and I was like, oh my God, like that's so funny. Like I was going to be here. Like I was going to check these guys out. No, I haven't been in yet.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get you in and have it.
So
sure.
how are you guys, like, how is West Coast Customs thinking? Because I know we've talked a lot about like how does this redefine? Like for me, looking at what you guys are doing, it is, hey, this is new, this is interesting. again, wine taste, try it out, see what happens. Is that your mentality right now?
So we've done a little bit of that. What we're really building is a blockchain video game.
Love it.
So it's been in the works for years. So my cousins who I'm partnered with, they had been in talks with Ryan, who's the CEO of West Coast Customs, in 2017-ish. And that they were, I've seen the Bible, but they literally were talking about building a blockchain video game. But at that time, technology, it was way too expensive.
Right. Or it was just like, what do we do? Like
a dev, they've had meetings with devs and they're like, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking? Because
there is such thing as being too early.
Like they were talking about what we wanted to do was have an NFT that you could then put another one on and layer it as a customization. So like what we're building now is a metaverse that is a customizing, collecting, and racing metaverse called the Eververse. Empire Avenue, which is where West Coast Customs sits, is going to be a world within this Eververse. And then we've partnered with other NFT projects. So there's the Crypto Dads that we partnered with, and they're going to have a lawnmower racing game in there called the Dadlands. So we kind of...
Well, that's a great name.
Think of it like Disneyland, where you walk in and there's different worlds. And so that's kind of the thing that we want to build, is that it's a customizing, collecting, and racing, and you can bring your world within that. Everybody gets a garage where you can... That's your wallet, essentially. You can store your cars in there. You can customize it. If you have a Bored Ape, you can put it on the wall and it'll look like a faded poster on the wall, like really customized.
Cool stuff. Yeah. So hearing this, and so this is how I like when I hear stuff, how my brain works.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. West Coast Customs as a brand and company, where do you think they are before you guys enter the picture? Like, where do you think their trajectory, like with the consumers was? Like, do you think, like, I maybe this is just because, like, I don't know, but like, do you think little kids right now were like putting West Coast Custom, like, was it like, because when I was growing up, it's super hot.
Yeah. Like Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, Pimp My Ride was hot. I mean, would it be fair to say like this, what you guys are doing, because I've seen it play out with the Hundreds and like other brands, I really can see this like resonating with a younger generation, them being like, oh, wait, this is cool. And like it going back to being like, instead of the poster on my wall, it's the, what does my West Coast Customs wallet look like?
Right, totally.
This is where I get super, super excited on like reimagining
a brand.
Yeah,
totally. I mean, because especially, you've seen the evolution of like how cars are being customized 100%. Too. And, I think for just the way that the kids are, groomed is a bad, not the word I'm looking for, but like my kid plays Fortnite, and like everything is digital assets and digital currencies, and he loves games. And so I think like this is a way that West Coast Customs can tap into an existing community of people. Like people are going to love cars. People are going to love to customize them and play racing games. 100%. And now we can take that existing brand that's been around for 30 years, has a bunch of old IP.
And you know what? Watch what Playboy does. Like watch people. Watch.
There's
people,
talks of it, right?
Like, and this is just because like people that have this IP and are willing to say, okay, Web3, I can figure out a way to use this IP and to reinvigorate our brand and hit a different, like fix our demo, like what our demo is. Oh my God. And those brands that are willing to take that risk, because it is a risk, are going to have the opportunity to just bring their, like do this like 10 years of like movement in several years, like really condense it down.
Well, a lot of people have like asked, trying to narrow down who our demographic is. We have millions of people who have watched it and everything. And we could spend a ton of time trying to bring people over, and we can assume who the demographic is. But I think in reality, like you've said it earlier, the market's going to determine who it is. And we're finding people who are familiar with NFTs in the crypto world, who then are reignited with this nostalgia.
There you go.
That's happening way more than us converting people into the crypto world.
Right.
And so it's leveraging that nostalgia and that existing brand, and people who don't even know who West Coast Customs was, but they're into cryptocurrency, and how I think the kids are going to grow up and understand this. It's going to just go, oh, this was a cool brand that was cool at one time. And
everything's ebb and flow, right? There's ups and downs, but like this is a moment in time where a brand can really, really change what they are. and that changes how they interact with their, and I think people need to understand this. Audience does not equal community. Right? How they can really build a community around what is West Coast Customs. How do you interact with the brand? How does that interaction translate into emotional connection? How does an emotional connection translate into community interaction? Like, all of those things are going to be game changers. And I'm really excited to see how this plays out for you guys. Like I said, the Hundreds wrote the book the last year on how to do it. I'm really bullish on people and companies that are taking that risk right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool part about being this early is the fact that most big brands are slow. Like, that's the reality of it.
Right.
Brands, labels, like anybody that is answering to a board of directors, like it's going to be slower. So the fact that we're jumping into it quicker, and there's some like,
that's why I quit I was doing this stuff, but like that was one of the biggest reasons for quitting my job was in the corporate world, everything moves so slow
that they're going to miss it.
But you know what's wild? Everything in our world moves almost too fast.
Yeah, it's true.
And so now there's like that, okay, mentality wise, everything's moving fast. And you got to like flip the switch from like FOMO and just head down, build, stick to the grind, and then like understand that, yes, things might pass you. You can't judge that. You need to stick in your lane, understand what you're doing, and just focus on you.
But I think a lot of that too is there's so much stimulation. And the biggest thing that I've seen in this space is that there is definitely a lack of actually like paying attention to your mental health and your physical health and going to sleep at real times. I think we're going to hit a wall because I see it here. I'm around it. I've been to multiple conferences.
The biggest thing that concerns me and genuinely does is relationships right now, like marriages, girlfriends, boyfriends. I really do worry. Like it's been hard on my relationships. It's been hard on my family. Like I'm conscious of it. Like I definitely have set more boundaries. I've been better at time balancing, or I'm trying to get better with it. I do really worry. Like John from Small Brains was talking the other day, and he got on a Discord space, and he was really riled up. And, he's like, we're building, the team's building, we're putting our marriages, we're running them into the ground to like build for 20 hours a day, sleep, wake up, build 20 hours a day. And like, I think for certain situations, okay, great. If that's what you and your family can get through it, do it. But I really think people need to step back and say, what do I value? It's not sexy. Like people don't get to get on Twitter and say, hey, I took a week off and spent time with my family and get to call it a W, right? It's not like you don't get to like really raise your hand and scream. Selling that Bored Ape Yacht Club for a 30 flip is because you spent, the whole week without sleeping, waiting for, somebody to miss list or something, grabbed it. And I know that people are tired of this whole like positive, like who's going to be that positivity guy and just spread it. And that's how they grow their brand. But like, I really hope that gets grounded in people's brains that you don't have to be at the cutting front of making the most profits, understanding every flip. You can work and stop and step away. That is really, in my mind, like my goal for the rest of the year is to set that balance, to make sure I'm eating well, to make sure that I'm getting the sleep, to track that, to make sure and it takes stepping back and saying, what do I have to do? Such as like, who do I need to hire? Do I need a VA? Maybe not even that, but like, okay, instead of like trying to do this all on my own, let me join a Discord group so that I can rely on like, hey, when I'm away this weekend, I come back and like I can chat with people and we could have like, or some who's providing content on what's happened. Man. Oh, that one's really, really like close to the heart. Just watching, I've had conversations with people that are like distraught over like, man, like I feel like I should feel so happy right now, but I don't have time for my friends or I don't have time. Like I had to give up this because I really think this is the moment. Money's not everything for sure.
It's infinite. Like that's it's so abundant that
For me, family health come first.
You make better choices too. Like
sure.
That's neuroscience. That's not an opinion. Like,
exactly.
You make better choices if you're rested, healthy, and all that stuff. So
but man, I'm so like I'm focused on that. I hope that like people listening understand. Like if you're right now, if you feel tired and you feel like overwhelmed, like take a break, relax. Like yes, things are going to progress if you step away, but it's not like you're going to come back and it's like, oh, I missed it all.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the whole mentality of like, I missed it. Like I stepped away and then like Bored Ape Yacht Club dropped this and I could have gotten in. I could have made like 50, like it's okay.
There will be more.
There will be more.
Always be more.
Yeah. Health needs to come first. Like that's a big one for me. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Twitter, YouTube. I can give I'm in LA, I'm in New York.
What's the handles?
Oh, just at Hunter Orel. So it's just my name everywhere pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah, everywhere it's just at Hunter Orel.
Perfect.
And I really hope people like take a moment. Like if you have a comment, if there's something I said here that like resonated with you or you disagree, please like just, I will go through and I'll look at stuff like people's opinions really matter to me. I really want to know what people have to say. I want to get to meet people like, you know, instead of just you guys leaving comments and, you know, them just being there for, you know, not seeing, I would really appreciate if you just gave me feedback. It helps me just understand what people are thinking and what I'm saying and how can I change, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dope, dude.